Hi everyone, my name is Michael Bernhard, Farm Manager with First Mid Ag Services in Kankakee, Illinois. I serve as Chair of the Technology Committee of the ISPFMRA, and I am moderating today's inaugural podcast from the 2026 Land Values Conference. I am joined by Luke Worrell of Worrell Land Services in Jacksonville, Illinois, and Sophia Odle of Peoples Company in Champaign. Luke is the Chair of the Land Values Report and Conference. Luke, thank you for taking the time to record today's episode. With the popularity of podcasts, our committee thought a land values one would be of interest to farmland owners and operators across the ag community. Today's conference attendees heard from Dr. David Cole, Professor Emeritus at Virginia Tech, and highlights from the 2026 Land Values Report. The Land Values Report has been a long-standing project of the ISPFMRA to provide readers across Illinois an accurate state of the land market. If it is all right with you, Luke, let's jump right into the report.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me. Happy to be on the first one.
All right.
Best one yet.
Exactly. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
All right. Start off, Luke. Can you tell us what the Land Values Report is and all that is included?
Yes, I'll try to keep this brief. So this is the 31st rendition this year of the Land Values Report. And in essence, it is a huge undertaking of professionals across the state.
I can imagine.
It is something. You never quite know how much goes into it until you're in it. And so for those listening that might not be aware, we essentially break the state into 10 regions. And we try to thoroughly analyze what happened in the previous calendar year.
That makes sense.
So it's yes, we're here in 2026, but our book actually completely entails 2025. And so there are over 70 professionals involved in this. And so this is my disclaimer, and everybody probably gets sick of hearing it. But, a lot of times I'm up on stage and I'm talking about the averages, and I'm just trying to whet the appetite to get people to read the book. The magic of the book to me is the regional breakdown. Because I use my home county as Morgan as an example. It's like there are like pockets of strength within my own county.
Right.
Right. So like if I'm just a listener and I'm a landowner and I have a farm outside of Winchester, Illinois, nothing better will serve you than to get this book and go to Region 7. Find your region, dig into the data, because we have, like I said, we have 70 professionals like combing data. People have no idea how much time it takes to put it all together. So we try to get bigger and better every year. This is the 11th time it's been in full color. This is the second time where you can get it right away online at the chapter's website. So just a huge undertaking. It's always a relief when it's over, if I'm being honest.
I can only imagine.
If I'm being honest with you, it's always a good feeling driving home. And I guess if to just take a minute to speak to professionals, I always find great value just as a business owner to have these hard copies and to present them to lenders, attorneys, investors in my area. Nothing can position you as a thought leader or as a knowledge leader of this industry than to utilize this book. So
absolutely.
I'm biased though, of course.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, in my travels, that's what I've seen too. People always want to hear about it and know about it. And the more copies you can provide to them, that's better contact for all of us so we can advance our careers.
Yeah. I'm going to leave here and there's 3 boxes of them with my name on it. So I got to load them up. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Luke, I think you summed it up perfectly. Can you provide a brief synopsis of Dr. Cole's session that he did today?
That is a great question, and a brief synopsis on what Dr. Cole covers would take around 3 days.
That is true.
It feels like he covers more in 90 minutes than I ever could. So, if you haven't heard Dr. Cole speak, I would go out of your way to do so. He's very charismatic, engaging. He's been at this forever. I think he mentioned it, but he told me this morning he's already spoken in 22 states this year.
Wow.
Which is absurd.
That's impressive.
Through 3 months. So, honestly, it really is hard to boil it down. So he kind of bounces all over the place, which I think is one of the things that is so endearing to the audience.
Right.
So he obviously comes at it from a macroeconomic viewpoint. I mean, he's an economist by trade.
Yep.
He also is a business owner. He always talks about his creamery business. So he kind of comes at it from macroeconomics, management style. And then I thought thought, to me, what was most interesting was he did like a SWOT analysis on our nation.
Right.
Strengths, weaknesses.
While he was cutting hay, by the way.
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. So for me, I guess personally, just a couple of takeaways. I did enjoy the SWOT analysis. I think it was interesting because he didn't beat around the bush. That we are kind of, we've kind of stubbed our own foot in certain instances on a macro economic level, just with some of the geopolitical stuff going on. And, not to shade any political party, but like there are some missteps that have taken place as far as like relationally with our trading partners. I thought that was captivating. That was super captivating. To me too, I'm a farm manager as well as a broker. And I thought it was really interesting when he was talking about when these kind of input costs and barriers are there in agriculture, that a farmer should not chase yield, but chase margin.
Right.
I thought that was kind of an eye-opener for me.
Same for me.
So like those were just two of the I could talk for days about Dr. Cole's speech, and like I've already forgotten more just because it's rapid fire. I wish we could record him and just go back and listen to him. But those were the two big takeaways for me. And I guess to boil it up, it's really an important time. Yep. For American agriculture.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Because we have so many unknowns out there. It's a small world these days. It's a small world. And he even joked about it. I mean, we trade on tweets. We literally trade on tweets. And, so I think back to, when my grandfather, probably was farming in the, 50s and 60s, and I wax poetic on I wish it was a simpler time. I really do.
I do sometimes too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. No, it's amazing the depth of information that he has in the regions that he covers across the United States.
It's crazy.
Well, and it's nice that he does, even with some of the doom and gloom in agriculture, he still puts a positive spin on it sometimes too.
Yeah. I mean, he ended it definitely was not, I don't want to make it sound like he was full in bear mode, He still thinks highly. We're still obviously in the best country in the world, but there's always ways to improve.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep, always ways to improve.
Absolutely. Dr. Cole always has the biggest pulse on the ag industry. Luke, what was your biggest takeaway from his talk?
Yeah, I think, to me, the things I'll remember is the SWOT analysis. I just thought it was so... maybe this is on me. I just never thought of even thinking about it like that.
No.
It's like, this is our nation. A SWOT. I'm a small business owner. A small business is what does a SWOT analysis. So it was interesting to hear someone with that experience do a SWOT analysis on the nation.
Right.
I think, like I said too earlier, the one is like, that kind of clicked for me was the chasing margin and not yield. Mm-hmm. And I think that spoke to me as a farm manager as we approach a planting season in, kind of a peculiar time where inputs are high.
Absolutely.
What kind of, yields we're going to have, the old variable mother nature is going to be there too. So, it was enlightening.
Yes, it was. Couldn't agree more. On the land values report, what was the state average value of farmland across the different land classifications?
Yeah. So, I guess to boil it down, like, people typically want to know, like, what changed. And then I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but again, when I'm up there on stage, I'm talking about state averages, and I think it's incredibly important to find your own region. But as far as state averages go, Class A land was down 3%. And I think the average price was $15,900.
Okay.
And I'm rounding a little bit there. Class B was pretty much even.
Okay.
And I think Class C was up marginally, and Class D was up marginally, and then recreational land was up like 11%, which surprised me.
It's crazy.
Which really surprised me. I think, I realize this isn't a recreational land podcast, but to me, in my own area, I felt like I noticed that recreational land was like hanging in there. But when I say hanging in there, I interpreted it as just like maintaining value.
Right.
But then to see the state average come back as plus 11 was interesting to me. I think that was one of the more interesting findings that we had.
Must have been certain pockets of the state were really strong then.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, recreational land too it is the one classification where it can be a little subjective.
Right.
what you consider recreational might not be recreational for me. And I've always struggled, even when I'm marketing farms, if I have a farm that's 50% tillable and 50% great deer hunting or what have you.
Right.
Do I market that is that a recreational farm, or is that just a marginal agricultural farm? So there's a little bit of gray area, but
Depends on who the buyer is.
Exactly. I think that was one of the big takeaways. I think too, I know it wasn't necessarily your question, but I found it interesting to like zoom out even another year. And like when you rope in 2024's findings, because I feel like 2024 and 2025 were in essence kind of like the same period of time where we were coming off just an absolute insane period.
Right.
Where we went up 55, 60%. So I thought it was interesting to take that 2-year window look. And even 2-year window, Class A land was down 6%. Class B over the last 2 years was down 2%. And then everything else was really in there or up marginally. And then you factor in, like, I think I even had in one of my slides, even if you take the 6% decrease over the last 2 years into account, since 2020, Class A land is still up 50%. So it's like I jokingly say, just to dumb it down, like 6% off of a lot is still a lot.
That is very true.
And so it's like, that's kind of where I see Class A land right now being. I think people probably, myself included, probably maybe expected a little bit steeper of a decline, but I think that's where we're at right now.
Well, it's good to see the land is holding steady, if only just a slight decline.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good deal. Appreciate that, Luke. It's always interesting to see the different in values across soil types. Out of the 10 regions in Illinois, as obviously Illinois is very diverse from north to south and east to west, what was the most interesting region for you to observe?
Well, I'm a homer. I'm biased, so I'll say Region 7.
All right.
And Region 7, for those of you who aren't aware, is kind of like, Springfield West. So kind of like west central pocket of Illinois. Those regions kind of right across the center belt of Illinois have always been the strongest. Looking back, Region 7's always done well. Region 6 has always done well. I think it's interesting to me because Region 7, you probably saw a steeper decrease in Class A value and maybe a little more volatility.
Sure.
That said, we're also coming from a region where you can still see 20,000 plus an acre, which is quite a bit stronger than other regions.
Very much so.
So, we've had several in our area, and when I say we, I don't just mean the Worrell Land Service. I mean just like other colleagues in the area. We've had several 19s and 20s still.
Sure.
Even here in 2026. But we also have more erratic results,
right,
to where on occasion we have seen 10% decreases, 12% decreases. So
okay.
I think it's always interesting to find those regions that were the quickest to go up and ended at the highest levels of when things were going gangbusters.
That's a good point.
I also think, and this one isn't just regionally, even though, so I apologize, I'm ignoring your question. But like transitional land, I set it up there. We have a really small sample size, 16 sales, transitional land. We had 22 last year, but the 16 that sold were up 97%. So like, I think it's a little too early to define like why that is, but I think a lot of people probably want to make the obvious connection to energy and or data center type purchases, because those are the ones where you hear about some absurd cost per acre. And so, you'd have to take those 16 and really dive in. But that to me was a fascinating little nugget, even though it's so small. I hate to label it a full-blooded trend, but.
Right. Well, you could write a whole book on transitional land itself.
I know. And that's going to be one of the big questions to follow through the summer and at this event next year is, we didn't even really hit on data centers today. And I realize that is kind of the buzzword of the era we live in, but
that it is.
It's so recent that I think we're just now scratching the surface of like, what does that even look like?
And none of us have any idea yet.
And none of us have any idea. And again, the book is on 2025. So I think we'll see.
We'll have a better picture in
I would hope. It still might not be a good answer, but it'll be a better answer.
We'll have something at least.
We'll have something, yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything that looks different in this report compared to last year's?
Yeah, a couple of distinctions. For one, again, just kind of looking at that 2-year window perspective, this is the first time since 2013 to 2015 that we've had consecutive decreases in Class A land. So that is interesting to me. It was the first time that we've had this many subcategories, as I like to call them, show a decrease. So I think nothing just completely floored me, if I'm being honest. It certainly was still captivating research.
Sure.
But I think if you take a 2-year window view, it's even more interesting.
Interesting. Good to know. What should readers of the report and listeners to this podcast be thinking about in terms of the 2026 land market?
So I think that's a great question. For those of us in the business kind of understand, maybe those who are listening don't, but we're kind of in a lull period right now, where historically we don't see as many transactions take place like during a cropping season. It's not like, October and November where the farm week and agri-news is twice as thick with all of the sales. So, I think it will be exceedingly interesting to follow the next few months in particular as it points to some of these macroeconomic things we've been dancing around, because those are largely going to affect that quote unquote sales cycle that will inevitably kick up August, September, right around the time we're, thinking about harvest and at the Farm Progress Show. So no shortage of things to follow.
Nope, never is in this business. And then lastly, where should people go to for future updates on land values?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Usually I have to build in my own segues. So I say it every year, and obviously I'm going to say it, but we do have, this is a huge book and it's a beautiful publication, but we do a mid-year survey and we still ask 70 plus professionals across the state to give their projections and updates. And so, we're here in April of 2026 talking about all of 2025. But in August at the Farm Progress Show, I'll be there talking about 2026. And so that's just a little more like at that moment snapshot. So that'll be on the chapter's website, and Illinois Society and American Society, and there'll be press releases and everything. So, I would, follow your local land market. But as far as, we go, which we, strongly feel we are the definitive source for like correct and accurate information.
I agree.
I would, I would be, I don't even know that date, but it's always in August. So there'll be a press release in August. And if you're listening to this and you are a professional and you get that email from Carol or Gary Schnicke or Rohan, please fill it out.
Exactly.
Please fill it out, because we all want the information. It all helps us do a better job. And a survey with 90 respondents is better than a survey with 60.
Couldn't agree more.
60 is better than a survey with 30. So the more information, the more participation we get, the more accurate we can be, and then the more confident we can be when you and I and whomever else go about our daily business.
Absolutely. All right. Luke, thank you once again for a fantastic conversation. Everyone, please stay tuned for future updates across our Facebook, LinkedIn, and X social media pages on future events of the ISPFMRA. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. We'll do this again.